When you turn off the light and open your eyes, you trust that everything will be calm. Darkness is just the absence of light, right? But what if it tells you that right now, something is watching you? Something that does not require an invitation to enter, because you have given permission without knowing it. This is not the beginning of a horror film. It's the story of thousands of people who, like you, live under the influence of spiritual legal rights, invisible agreements that open doors to strengths that we don't want in our lives. And what's worse, you could have signed one of these contracts without giving a bill. Today, we will delve into a topic that few dare to address openly: the legal rights that your enemy uses to act in your life. No talk of superstitions or urban legends. I have real spiritual mechanisms documented in cases from all over the world that explain why some people face patterns of failure, inexplicable illnesses, or even constant misfortune. And most importantly, I will show you how to revoke these contracts and regain control of your life. The legal system that never teaches you. Imagine the spiritual world as a court. There is no chaos, lies. Just as a judge cannot condemn you without provas, the enemy cannot act in your life without a legal right. But here's the problem. You could even be providing this test every day without even giving it an account. Everyone starts with something apparently harmless. A word spoken in a burst of anger, a decorative object with a hidden symbol, or even an unresolved trauma. Is Suena exaggerated? Then I set out to tell you the story of a family in a rural area of the United States in 1987. After a violent argument, the priest, in a fit of rage, cursed his own son. That night, something changed. The objects began to move alone. The voices whispered names in the dark, and an invisible presence began to accompany them even during the day. The most terrifying phenomena were not in themselves, but the boss. Every start has had this curse pronounced out loud. They investigated the case years later and discovered that this word had opened a legal door to forces that should not have existed. But how is it possible? How could a simple sentence have so much power? The answer lies in a little-known spiritual principle. Everything you declare with authority, you feel angry, afraid, or desperate, can become a contract in the invisible world. And once signed, this contract gives permission for negative energies to act in your life. It's not magic, it is spiritual mechanics. And here it is most terrifying. You don't have to believe it for it to work. Just as gravity acts on you, regardless of your understanding of physics, these spiritual laws operate both actively, consciously, and silently. The three most common doors, and how to close them. If you've ever asked yourself why some people seem to be dragging a constant bad luck, while others prosper without effort, the answer could be in these three legal doors that we all open at some point in our lives. 1. Cursed words, the power of declarations. Have you ever said phrases like, "Nunca lo lograré," "Todo me sale mal," or even "Merezco sufrir"? Therefore, you must know that in the spiritual sphere, words have creative power. I'm not just thinking, they are decrees. By repeating these phrases, you are literally giving your enemy permission to act in these areas of your life. A study carried out by parapsychologists in the 1990s analyzed cases of people who faced repetitive patterns of failure. What did you discover? That 90% of these people had the habit of verbalizing negative phrases about themselves. They were not casualties. They were victims of their own decrees. It doesn't end there. Words pronounced with intense emotion, such as hate, anger, or despair, have greater weight. For example, when you say, "I hate my life," in a moment of frustration, on the ground, you are letting go. You are opening the door to which negative forces act on what you value the most. But how do I close this door? The first step is to become aware of what you say. Empathy to replace negative phrases with life affirmations. Instead of saying, "Nothing is good," he said, "I'm open to receive blessings." It seems simple, but it is an act of spiritual authority. 2. Objects and symbols. the contracts you sign without reading. Did you know that many decorative objects, jewelry, and even tattoos carry symbols with hidden meanings? A lucky amulet bought in a grocery store can be linked to energies that you don't know about. A bracelet with a beautiful symbol could actually be a portal to negative influences. In 2018, a case in Europe captured the attention of the middle class. A woman started experiencing recurring nightmares and feelings of oppression after receiving a collar as a gift. After investigating, he discovered that the symbol engraved on the collar was a glyph used in invocation rituals. Sinke surpassed it, took a spiritual contract from the cell. The same thing happens with inherited family objects. This Joya, the antique painting that always gave you an extraneous sensation, could be related to generational curses. It is no coincidence that in many cultures there is a custom to bless or purify objects before using them. If you suspect that an object in your home could be acting as an open door, here's the following. Identify its origin. Where does it come from? Who do I hate? Do you have any extraneous stories related to it? Purifying. Use blessed water, consecrated salt, or acceptance to break any negative bond. If necessary, deselect it. Some objects cannot be purified. We have to burn them or bury them to break the bond. 3. Traumas and sins without results. The invisible chains. The third type of legal door is the most subtle and at the same time the most powerful. Traumas without healing and sins not confessed. When you harbor resentment, blame, or shame, you are creating an access door for your enemy. A classic example of generational curses. If your ancestors committed serious acts, such as betrayal, abuse, or idolatry, and are never regretted, this negative energy can be transmitted to subsequent generations. It's not a punishment, it is a spiritual law of cause and effect. But there is a way out. Forgiveness, both to yourself and to others, is the key to breaking these chains. A simple but powerful ritual consists of writing on paper everything you need to forgive, being forgiven, and putting it aside. As the calls consume the paper, he declares out loud, I break any legal right that the enemy has over my life due to this past. I'm free. The secret that hides you. In 2020, an exorcist in Rome revealed something shocking. The majority of serious cases of spiritual oppression began with a self-imposed legal right. In other words, the person, without knowing it, has given permission to negative forces to act in their life. How does this happen? In 3 main ways. Unhealed trauma. Resentment towards brings negative energy. Broken promises, especially under pressure or in moments of despair. Participation in innocent rituals, such as Ouija sessions, energetic cleansings with unskilled people, or even forays into the occult. The case of Anneliese Michel, the young German woman who was famous for her exorcisms in the 1970s, is a classic example. Years before his pose, he had participated in Ouija sessions. At that moment, I thought it was just a joke, but these sessions opened doors that I couldn't close. The good news is that just as a contract can be signed, it can also be broken. That's exactly what we're going to do now. The Liberation Protocol. If you feel that you are under the influence of negative legal rights, follow this protocol today. Don't leave it for the morning. Every day that passes, the enemy builds his case against you. Step 1. Identify the open doors. Take paper and pen. Write everything you can give access to your enemy. Negative words that you repeat frequently. Objects in your home that contain unknown energies. Traumas or sins unresolved. Occult rituals or practices in which you have participated, even out of curiosity. Step 2. Revoke contracts. With the paper in your hand, light a white candle, which represents purity and protection. I read each point on the list out loud and declare, I renounce any legal right that the enemy has over my life for name of the point. In the name of your spiritual authority, I break this contract and leave this door forever. Luego, burn the paper. While you become a ceniza, visualize how to break the chains. Step 3. Purify your space. Take coarse salt and sprinkle it on the corners of your house, especially in the rooms and at the entrance. Salt is a powerful neutralizer of negative energy. You can also use blessed water or consecrated oil to anoint doors and windows. Step 4. Seal the release. Finally, there is a declaration of authority. I am God's Son, of the light of the universe. Use the terminology that works for you, and no dark power has power over me. I open all the doors that I have opened, consciously or unconsciously, and I decree that my life is protected by superior powers. Amen. Real stories that demonstrate this power so that you don't think this is just theory. Share the documented cases that demonstrate how these principles work in practice. Case 1. The family that broke a cycle of 3 generations. Los Souza, fictitious name, was known in their small village for their good luck. All the men of the family died young, victims of accidents or sudden illnesses. Until he was younger, after discovering the advice on legal rights, he decided to investigate. He discovered that his great-grandmother had a pact with dark entities in exchange for wealth. Sorry, he never broke the bond, and the curse passed only to his descendants. When he performed the ritual to break the curse, he changed his family's destiny on the ground. But he also saw an immediate improvement in his health and finances. Today, teach others to do the same thing. Case 2. The man who recovered his health, João, fictitious name, had been suffering from an autoimmune illness for years. Doctors couldn't find the cause and treatments in the office, until, during a therapy session, he remembered that 18 years ago, he had participated in an Umbanda ritual to attract money. At that moment, I didn't take it seriously. But this ritual opened a door that now affected his body. After breaking the spiritual contract and purifying his life, his problems began to improve. Within 6 months, he was completely cured. What to do if you don't feel anything? Some might think, good, no ritual has ever been performed, no one has ever been hurt, so this doesn't apply to me. But the truth is this, it is not necessary to have something serious to be under negative influence. Sometimes, all it takes is a negative thought pattern or an inherited object to open a breach. If you're not sure, ask this question. Observe the patrons of your life. Are there areas where you fight constantly, no matter how much you try? Do you have recurring emotions with dark themes, or feel overwhelmed when you wake up? Are there objects in your house that you avoid touching or that make you vibrate? If you answered yes to any of these questions, it is best to act now. Don't wait for things to get worse. How to maintain your protection in everyday life. Breaking contracts is the first step. To keep your life free from negative influences, adopt these habits. Positive affirmations. Start and end your day with inspiring phrases such as, Hoy I draw blessings, or I am protected by higher powers. Regular spiritual cleansing. Once a month, clean your home with salt, incense, or sacred leaves. Avoid occult activities, Ouija boards, invocation challenges, or any practice that involves contact with the spirit. It's not a game, it's an invitation. Cultivate gratitude. Gratitude is one of the most powerful energies against darkness. Each day, make a list of 3 things you are grateful for. Your life will never be the same again. This video was not created to scare you. I was created to empower you. You don't need to be a victim of forces that operate in the shadows. You have the power to revoke any contract, close any door, and recover your freedom. If this content appeals to you, leave a comment. What door do you think you opened without wanting to? Your story can help others wake up to this reality. And if you want to go deeper, subscribe to the channel. Next week, I will reveal the 5 most dangerous symbols that attract curses and how to eliminate them from your life. Remember, the enemy may have legal rights, but you have the last word.